Are we filming? Yes, we are. So welcome to another video. This is another of my philosophical indulgences, but give me some rope here. I want to talk about a phenomenon that's been going on for potentially from the dawn of time. But how it is, how this phenomenon is affecting the Filofax brand at the moment. I recently saw on social media a flurry of discussion about retail arbitrage or arbitrage. That is the process of buying something in a store, a bricks and mortar physical store, and then selling it for a profit online. Now, this has been going on for, well, since the birth of the internet. But I'm specifically talking about TK Maxx here in the UK. Now, I've recently moved house. And I used to be close to a TK Maxx store, and now I'm not. But when I was close to a TK Maxx store, not every week, but if I was in town, I would have a look in TK Maxx in their stationery department, and typically they would have, and as I understand it, I'm not an expert, but as I understand it, the business model for TK Maxx is they will buy up stocks of items, clothes, or filofaxes or moleskin notebooks, anything they can get hold of where they're shifting slow moving stock, and they're making a profit. And when it comes to filofaxes or moleskin and notebooks, you will, if you go in there, you will find the colours are not popular, i.e. they're slow moving. So recently, for whatever reason, there has been a huge number of filofaxes being sold at a very, very steep discount through TK Maxx. Now, I don't know whether Filofax themselves are making profit on these stocks that they're shifting, but I know that when you see a fake original, it's selling for less than $5, and the counterfeit operation are making profit on it. They're not doing it for charity. So the manufacturing costs, my best guess is the manufacturing costs of a typical Filofax today, made in a country where wages are as low as they possibly can be, using relatively budget materials, i.e. low-cost rings, using thin veneers of leather on top of a largely man-made construction, layers of. I mean, when I've dissected a couple of Filofaxes. There's kind of layers of cardboard material, so it's not high-end leather, and they're not high-end rings, and the factory gate price is probably a few dollars per item. Who knows? I have no idea whether that's the case, but that is my opinion through observation. So if you have a Filofax binder that has been dumped, that's a disingenuous word, but if slow moving stocks end up in TK Maxx, they're bought by not only people that want to use one for themselves, but also critically, they will be bought by people to resell online, typically eBay. But some people report that they're available on Vinted as well. So what is my opinion about this? Well, there's two things. First of all, from a point of view of retail arbitrage, it's something that I have been involved in all my life, virtually, since the dawn of the internet. I have sold about, over the last 10 years, I've sold 8,000 items on eBay. A mixture of stuff. A lot of it has been antiques, because I was a full-time antiques dealer up until a few years ago, but now I'm kind of semi-retired. But I still sell the occasional antique, and secondhand books and jewellery, and basically mainly vintage secondhand stuff. But some stuff is new, and I have sold from TK Maxx a number of Moleskine notebooks, normally garish colours like lime green, that clearly haven't sold, and they've been bought up by TK Maxx, sold to someone like me, and then I have sold them on. Occasionally, I've given them away as a freebie, as a prize. Well, not a prize, but you know, it is what it is. So I cannot criticise people for spotting a gap in the market. Interestingly, what I would never do is I would never do what a lot of people do and buy up children's toys, children's gifts, which then will distort the market and make it impossible for parents on a budget to buy a popular toy or gift, you know, for their child at Christmas. And this happens all the time, especially at Christmas. So retail arbitrage is a thing. You cannot stop it. The only thing you can do is limit a popular item. It doesn't have to be children's toys. There's little arbitrage, you know, the middle aisle, and Aldi, where if something, especially Lidl, there are certain products where they are so popular that people wait, and then they pounce and they buy them up. It even works with food, like things like Marmite. I've heard that people buy up Marmite and then sell it to expats abroad who cannot get hold of yeast extract. It also happens in IKEA, because there are a certain number of IKEA stores here in the UK. It's just not physically, someone beeping at me, it's just not possible or financially viable to travel to a store to get a replacement handle for your kitchen cabinet or something. And so what I have heard some people will do is they will list something on eBay at an inflated price. Once they get the sale, then they will go to IKEA, presumably they'll live nearby, and then buy it, and then they will sell it. This happens all the time. This is capitalism with a capital C. There's nothing anyone can do about it. It is the way the world works. And so I do not have a problem with it. I do not have a problem with it at all. So if someone wants to buy a Filofax from TK Maxx in this case, and then sell it for a higher price on eBay, because they're not doing it for their health, they're doing it to make some money, then I don't have a problem with that. They're spotting a gap in the market and they're fulfilling a need. They're providing effectively a public service for those who, for whatever reason, are either unaware that they can get the same product cheaper in TK Maxx, or are well aware, but they just don't have access to a store nearby. And if you take my recent example, those of you who follow my videos will know that I recently purchased at quite an expensive price. I could not get hold of a plotter Bible-sized, personal-sized binder made in Japan by Plotter. I could not get one through the, a distribution network. There is no distribution network for those of us in the UK. So I bought it from a reseller in Tokyo, in this particular case, on eBay. And, business is business. I accept that for me, I'm paying a higher price because obviously the reseller is buying it from a store, and he actually made a point of saying that there'll be a delay while he goes to the store, buys it so he can sell it to me. And I don't have a problem with that because, that was a lot cheaper than me getting a flight to Tokyo and going to that same store and buying it and coming back. Obviously, I'm not going to fly to Tokyo. Apart from the fact I don't do flying. I haven't done flying for 30 years for environmental reasons, but nevertheless, it is cheaper. It's cheaper to have to pay effectively the profit margin of the reseller in Japan. So there are many reasons. There are many reasons why buyers should not be affronted by the mere thought of someone making a profit. Goodness gracious, if everybody made a profit, where would we be? Well, I'll tell you where we'd be. We'd have schools and hospitals in the UK fully funded by people such as those going to TK Maxx and selling something, and they will pay their tax. They will pay tax. That will appear in the treasury, and there'll be more money. So I've always said that when I buy something from a charity shop, when that item was originally sold, there was profit. Sorry, there's profit. Well, hopefully profit for the retailer or the seller, and that attracted tax, possibly VAT, went to the treasury. That's how it works. And then I come along and buy it from the charity shop and then sell it, and then I pay tax on the items. So the country as a whole, the treasury, schools, hospitals, and other good causes, they get double bubble. As they get another bite of the cherry in terms of funding essential services, and that's the same in any country where tax is raised to pay for essential services. So it's a win-win for everybody. It's a win-win for schools and hospitals. It's a win-win for the person, the reseller that spotted a gap in the market, and it's a win for, in this case, TK Maxx, because they have made a profit, and it's a win for Filofax because I'm making an assumption here, and it's only my opinion. Dumping them at TK Maxx, I suspect that the actual factory gate cost of those binders, those personal organisers, is surprisingly low, and is probably low enough for them, for the Filofax brand, the FLB group, to offload them to TK Maxx and still make a profit. So everybody's happy. So I don't see retail arbitrage as a problem, as long as people are reasonable about it, and don't clear out the entire store to the detriment of others. When I've never done retail arbitrage with Filofaxes, but I might do in the future. Who knows? But I have done with Moleskine notebooks in TK Maxx. So I don't see it as a problem. And if I did see it as a problem, I would be a hypocrite, really, because I take advantage of price differentials myself, and I have done over many items, particularly antiques, for many years. And this is the thing. I have sometimes bought items for £1 at a car boot sale, or like a yard sale, or in a charity shop. And I sold, like, what did I buy a few months ago? It was a camping set, like pots and pans that you would take camping. And I spotted that they were very rare, and I paid £3 for this set and sold them for £76. And so some of that is paid in tax and schools and hospitals, etc. I don't see a problem with that. I don't see a problem with that at all. But that's enough of the retail arbitrage justification. There is another thing. There's a fly in the ointment, in my humble opinion, and it's this. If you look at the turnover of the FLB group, Filofax, Let's and Blue Line, so that is the company. I don't know who owns it, but there we go. Because it seems to chop and change quite a lot, and I can't keep pace with it, and I don't really have the inclination to check all these things. But one thing that I do know is the turnover of the business is falling, and I can't say whether that's what the turnover, the split of the turnover over these three product lines, Filofaxes, Let's Diaries and Blue Line Stationery. I don't know what the actual split is, but I'm guessing that if you think about it, there's a hardcore of Filofax enthusiasts such as myself and possibly yourself too, and many of us have more than one Filofax. I'm a big Filofax brand enthusiast, as you all know. I quite like the vintage ones. They really work for me, but I have recently, over the last few months, experimented with actually going into a bricks and mortar store and purchasing a Filofax off the shelf. I did that recently for a Filofax Malden, which I wasn't really happy with the quality, especially the rings. And I went into W.H. Smith's, which is a high-end department store in the UK that still sell Filofax binders and have done so for many, many years. And I quite like it, but I wasn't really happy with the rings, the ring quality there. But I didn't return, I could have done, but I didn't return either of those binders. Because in the interest of science, I want to use them, not all the time, but periodically, to see how they fare, how they deteriorate over time. Although, to be honest, I haven't taken the Malden out. It's back in its box, and I just I'm not a fan of it. I'm not a fan of it. Although, having said that, oh, there we go. I do like. I recently reviewed this mini Malden, which is a used example, probably an early one, but I do like it, and I'm going to. I've decided I'm going to use it periodically, and I'll talk about how I'm going to be using Filofaxes this coming year in a periodic way. But I'll do that in another video. But I do like this one. But I don't like the one that I bought brand new from W.H. Smith's a few weeks ago. But I guess I'm kind of, as one of my viewers suggested, I'm taking some hits for the team, and I'm okay. I'm okay with that. And I like to experiment. I like to have a look at this sort of thing. But just getting back to, I had to edit a cough out there. Just getting back to the turnover of the FLB group, and more importantly, the perception of Filofaxes. My gut feeling, my opinion is that any company that starts offloading stock to discount stores runs the risk of devaluing the product. Now, I would say that over time, the product has been devalued because it has been it has shifted away from a business tool using high quality materials and with binders that are designed to last many decades, to I wouldn't say it's been, in some ways it's been marketed as a fashion accessory for women, as we know, and there's no problem with that. But the shift away from the way that the product has been marketed over the periods since manufacturing ceased in the UK and has been moved abroad, shall we say, has been a little bit controversial. You know, that the mainly aimed at women. That's possibly not a great idea, in my opinion. There are surveys that suggest that 95% of and I'm just guessing here, I can't be sure it's 95%, but certainly when marketing companies get a brief to create a marketing campaign for a product, they're obviously trying to analyze the target market and then design a marketing campaign to target that market. And there have been many situations where it appears that the Filofax brand has targeted women rather than everybody, which kind of, given the fact that there's a 50-50 split globally, that cuts down your target audience by 50%, doesn't it, if you're aimed at women? Although, having said that, if you look at the Filofax range, thank goodness there are many binders that are available in plain old black, which is a colour that most guys would be happy to use. What I mean is they're not all pink with purple spots or whatever the latest fashion is. But I'm digressing here. There's essentially if you're devaluing the brands by offloading stock, you need to be careful of that. You need to be doing it. You need to eke it out very carefully, and not just dump huge amounts. And certainly not dump huge amounts onto a discount store like TK Maxx, because what are they going to do? They don't have a warehouse to just sort of gently filter things one or two at a time in each store. As we've seen from social media over the last few weeks, there's been a massive dump. And if you look right now, and I'm recording this sort of halfway through December 2024, if you look right now on eBay, there's a huge number of particularly grey personal Finsbury models, and my assumption is that almost every single one of those has come from TK Maxx. and that kind of means that people get talking about this online. Here am I talking about it online, and we're talking about the brand. And crucially, this is the thing: if the perception in people's minds is growing that you should, it kind of puts you off spending £50 or £60 on, in this case, a personal Finsbury direct from the website. When I mean, are people likely to? I mean, people have good memories; they have long memories, so it makes you less likely to want to pay top dollar by going to Filofax direct. Typically, it's obviously slow moving stock, so I would guess that Finsbury in grey in personal size is a slow moving stock because of the colour and because it's a Finsbury. And recently the Finsbury has not had good press, partly because the flatability is just not there. Partly the colour grey, don't know, it doesn't really work for me. But everybody's perception of desirability is different, and we're all swayed by fashions, and we're also crucially we're swayed by social media. And I say social media because you're not likely to be a guy in a pub with your mates talking about Filofaxes and the different models and the benefits thereof. And I suspect that it's probably the same with women. And I'm talking out of term here because I'm not a woman, so I don't know, but I'm just guessing. I mean, you ladies need to perhaps jot something down in the comments below saying whether you do discuss the merits of your Filofax choice with in real life, meeting people or in the workplace or over a coffee in a cafe or whatever. I think it's probably a topic that is more discussed in enthusiast-based groups online than anywhere else. And people do talk about this sort of stuff, and there is this, and then people's perception of value and desirability will be swayed and influenced by their experiences and what they read, what they see, what they hear about on social media, and YouTube is included in that. So there is this risk of a devaluation of the brands, and it is a slippery slope. So if I was in charge of the Filofax brand, I would not do that. I just wouldn't dump huge amounts of stock, unless I had to, because of the financial situation, the cash flow. I would have to settle with dumping stock to maintain a positive cash flow, even though I would be aware of the dangers of doing that in terms of the perception of the value of the brand. So I don't know what's going on, but clearly there's a lot of stuff being dumped, if you like, for want of a better word. It'd be interesting to see what happens. I mean, occasionally there are special offers in other stores. I mean, in the W. Smith's bricks and mortar store here in the UK, in the summer, I bought my brand new Malden in personal size for £50, when they were being sold on the Filofax website for about 100. How does that work? How does that work? There needs to be I mean, I just don't understand that. I pulled the trigger on the Heritage in John Lewis at £85, which was, I've been meaning to do it for some time, but I thought I'm going to pull the trigger at £85. I thought that was a pretty good deal. And I was desperate to, my plan for this year, 2024, had been to, I announced earlier in the year that I would be reviewing some brand new binders, which I have done. Not many, but I wanted to do that. My plan was originally to buy a large number, but I couldn't get the discounts, and to be honest, for instance, I was going to get a Norfolk, but in the end I decided to get a Vanderspec instead, because I was really keen. The Vanderspec bit, I spotted one online that was almost new, and I thought, do you know what, I'm going to buy that. And I was very impressed and gave it a favourable review. And it was very similar in design to a Norfolk. And I had seen a Norfolk and handled it in the John Lewis store, but I decided I wasn't going to buy it after all to road test. I thought I'd road test the Vanderspec instead. But essentially, I have had some experience for the first time in my life. After being into Filofaxes for 30 years, over 30 years now, for the first time I have been this year testing Filofaxes from the current model range. And I think that that's been useful because it's given me some experience. I don't want to, I may buy and test others in the future. But at the moment, I've got, in fact, I bought, over the last 2 months, I've bought over 20 Filofaxes, which you haven't seen yet, but I will be reviewing. So behind the scenes, I've been busy, but I haven't been doing quite so many videos recently because of health issues. But I feel well enough to keep going, maybe do even more. But I'm learning, and I'm still enjoying this process. But I digress. The thing about the in summary, I was going to discuss this on social media, but I decided to do a video about it because it's more of an in-depth philosophical thing. It's not a rant, it's just an explanation. So the bottom line is, I have bought and sold. I have been engaged in retail arbitrage for all my life. I haven't actually bought any Filofaxes from TK Maxx because I don't live near one. But if I had, I might have done. You never know. I might have done. So, I'm not criticising people that do this. But the second part of my own conclusion is, I am frankly surprised that Filofax are offloading so many, and I do wonder whether there's an underlying reason why they have to do it, because most companies that have a brand image, and let's face it, all companies should arguably have a brand image. Most companies with a brand image they want to carefully protect. They have to control offloading slow-moving stock very carefully, and I'm not judging, but I'm just saying how I feel about this. I am frankly really surprised that Filofax have decided to do this, to offload sufficient stock to cause a glut in the market. And especially a glut in the retail arbitrage market. It's not a good look if you are if you have a brand image to protect. It's not good. It's not great. But you know, it is what it is. So I think I've been going for about 35 minutes, so I will stop there. And I'll say thank you very much for watching. And if you have any issues that I've covered and you want to respond to them, then please leave comments. And as always, as you know by now, I'm trying to get back to everybody as soon as I can. So until my next video, thanks very much for watching, and goodbye.